F. Foster. A couple of weeks ago, I said those words in church with my hands in this position with a little child. Be opened. An ancient rite that goes back to the early church, which has been retained. Are we open? Are we truly open? Tendentially, a person who talks a lot is proportionately unopen. Psychologically, there are profound reasons for that. He is in emission mode. His mind is working out what to say next. And while he's talking, he's not going to hear. If he talks therefore a lot, he's going to hear very little. It is said that John Paul II, when he was chaplain at university, said little, but after listening, said exactly what needed to be said. Is it not true that the person who talks little will command attention when at last he says something, rather like the Delphic oracle? Oh, it said something. I'd like for a moment, even though it seems banal, to look into this question. Why there's not a single one of us that doesn't concern? Why? It's what brings us down more than many things in our human life. Not knowing how to listen, not being open in the physical and spiritual senses. Observe an argument. It starts off with something which of course is important, but then observe what happens. If you could take, as it were, an instrument to measure things, and up it stays. Is the communication at the level? Very little. I remember noticing this from culture to culture. My own parish where I was brought up was run by English Benedictines, Ampleforth, and one from Buckfast. Calm. They sent me up to Ampleforth more than once, and there, calm. In an Italian community, it's not always quite so calm. In a French one, also, it can be pretty volcanic. Which works best? And what of your marriage? How do you handle it? There was a time when pop music was actually music and, in some cases, wisdom. Did you ever hear the Beatles song, We Can Work It Out? It's actually profoundly true. It was written in the context of Paul McCartney's wanting to hang on to his girlfriend, Jane Asher, who was becoming somewhat annoyed that he was unavailable because of all his business, and she was being left on the shelf. He wrote the song, We Can Work It Out, to try one last time to keep her. And it says more or less this, which applies, my friends, to each one of us. Try to see it my way. If you see it your way, there's a chance that we can break it up before too long. He goes on to indicate that maybe if she tries to see what he's saying, they will keep together. And he goes on, life is very short. True. And there's no time for fussing and fighting, my friend. We can work it out. Say what you like of the Beatles, that message got through to the youth of England in the 60s, and at least it stuck with me. Work on it. It's just basic human wisdom. And all basic human wisdom is a participation in the Sophia of the Logos from which we came. All truth is his. And a certain open-mindedness also helps, because all truth can be claimed by its author. Which brings me to the point. I've been told that the technique of modern internet is to trace what you're interested in and to give you more of the same. So, if you're that way inclined, you will find lots of things of the same coming to you, served. So, you will go into it because it interests you, and you will get what? More and more of your truth. Now, with that in your brain, faced with somebody who hasn't got the same angle, you will get into this mode, and you will not like it. About a month ago, I transmitted a message from Father Michael about something here, and somebody got up and walked out. He didn't like to hear it. Barrier. Well, life is like that all the time, my friends. Don't go there. Keep it down. Now, between people who are close to each other, the danger is even more close. Because just like that, you can flip. And months and even years of pacific calm can suddenly become volcanic. And actually, a marriage can fall on the rocks because they didn't know how to handle the first explosion. Couples do disagree, but if they're mature, they'll know how to handle it. And that's the bit that's not there. People don't know how to handle conflict. It's the same actually, but different in a monastery. Watch a good chapter meeting and compare it with a bad one. I conclude, my friends, because I got to the theme of the monastic life. It applies also to the interior faculties of being open and picking up. I mentioned internet. There is a modern psychological addiction, which is also going to be something of the same thing for your prayer life, with regard to not being able anymore to pick up. A holy addiction is wanting to know all the greatest reactions to such and such a document on internet. Now, at that point, I can assure you, you're not listening to him. You're not on your knees waiting for a word from him. You're plugged in, drained in to someone you don't know, and the Lord can't get through to your mind and your heart. The choice is yours. Where do you want your time to go in your short innings on earth? Life is very short. And so, I take you back to an experience I had years ago in Italy, and I leave it with you. I was sent on retreat before ordination to the nearby mother house of the Olivetan Benedictines, and I thought on this one question. All over the place were images and frescoes and stained glass windows, one of which would be St. Benedict, in this position of having the Holy Rule open before his disciple, with the opening word, Ausculta. Listen, my son, to the words of your father. And the whole discipline of the monastic life hinges on that one word. Recevoir, to receive. Be workable upon, like a very good musical instrument. The slightest touch is picked up. It can't be if you're elsewhere in your mind, gazing at a screen. It just is psychologically impossible. The difference between watching a screen and watching the tabernacle is massive. So choose. If you haven't got access to the Blessed Sacrament, you have a bedroom. You have an alcove, perhaps, where God reigns in your house. You have the sacred scriptures, precisely what is the nourishment of the monastic centuries. Lectio Divina, divine reading, God truly present in that form. That, then, will come alive. I leave it with you, my friends. Life is very short. What do you want? Bored of or listening, opening, gazing, waiting for one small syllable.